welcome back to my channel, and welcome to today's video, which is going to be a hot new makeup launches. There is a lot, and I mean a lot, of palettes launching. Like, I feel like this is a month of palettes because there is an insane amount of palettes, and I'm going to talk about all of them, let you know what I think about them, if I would be purchasing them, and all that stuff. It's kind of like an anti-haul, but more so showing you a lot of products, because I feel like for my anti-hauls I pick and choose the products that I want to show you guys, that I want to be like, okay, I'm not buying this one, okay, I'm not buying this one interests me. So I just got a mishmash of everything that I've been seeing coming out, and that's what I'm going to be talking about. So let's get started, because you guys know I always ramble. Okay, I'm going to start off with this palette from Katheleenlights. She did a collaboration, another collaboration with Colourpop, and I'm starting off with this one because I already bought it, I already have it, I already did a look for you guys in a video, so that will be linked down below if you want to check it out. If not, it's the video before this one. And this palette, as soon as I saw it, I fell in love, and I was like, you know what, I have to have it, so I ordered it. It is, I feel like, the perfect fall palette, fall winter, because it has a lot of the red, wine, yellow, orange shades, but it also has blue, silvers, and tones like that. It's a like crystal inspired palette. A lot of the names are crystal names, and some she like combined the crystal names together and created like the name for the eyeshadow. I personally think this is such an amazing palette. I really liked it. I did a look before. I used those blues. They're absolutely stunning. The pigmentation and everything. This palette did retail for $39, which I actually don't think was a bad price, because the palette has 30 eyeshadows. This is Colourpop's first big palette like this. It has this quantity of eyeshadows, and I'm all here for it. The packaging, amazing as well. Next, they came out with another collection, Colourpop as well, because we know Colourpop launches a new collection literally like every week. Like, people cannot catch a break. I feel like I cannot catch a break. This collection, I don't know what it's called really, but the theme of it is like whatever, the palette of it, which is what I wanted to show you guys. For the most part, I like the collections they launch. I never buy them like the complete collection, because I don't feel like I need all the products from the collection. I specifically always go for the palette. Also, I already purchased this palette, which again is why I'm mentioning it. First off, getting those out of the way. Something else I did purchase from the collection is the gel liner, the burgundy gel liner, because that color, I cannot wait to get that eyeliner and do such a beautiful wing look just with the burgundy and dark lips. Oh my gosh, I already pictured that look. But the palette is so cute. I love the print. It has like leopard or cheetah print. It says whatever with roses. It's a really pretty like burnt mulberry orange shade. The packaging, love it. Like, this is such a perfect fall palette. I feel like I say that for everything, but I love fall, so you guys will probably be hearing that a lot. And now a very recent launch, another one from Colourpop, because I mean, we know they can't take a break. They launched a lilac collection. And did I need the palette? No. Did I want it? Absolutely. Did I buy it? Absolutely. I literally just bought it today. It launched today. I ordered it in the morning. I also ordered the peach palette, which I think I mentioned in my last anti-haul. I didn't get a chance to get that one when it came out. Like, it sold out like that. Literally. Like that. I feel like that's why they continue to launch so much stuff, because people just are hooked on them, and everything they do I feel like is amazing. Specifically their monochromatic palettes, those are probably my favorite. You guys have seen the monochromatic looks I've done. I love those palettes, so I definitely needed the peach one in my collection, and the lilac one, I didn't need it, but I wanted it. Okay, this next palette is definitely a palette I'm skipping, because for the price of this palette, I can probably buy all the other palettes that I'm going to mention. Just saying. Natasha launched their Metropolis palette. Now, is this just me, or does this palette resemble the Katheleenlights palette? Like, to me, I feel like a lot of the colors that are on this palette resemble the one that is in the colors that are in the Katheleenlights palette with Colourpop. Not all of them, and I'm not saying it's a dupe, but I'm saying there's enough shades that resemble, that catch your attention from that palette, that I really don't feel like I need this palette. I still, to this day, cannot bring myself to buy a Natasha palette. Maybe, I was going to say maybe when they have one that really catches my attention, but they've had two that have really caught my attention. Caught myself. But I still just couldn't bring myself to get the palettes, because I feel like I can buy like 3-4 palettes somewhere else with the amount that I'm going to pay for one of these palettes. And at the end of the day, it's an eyeshadow palette. I mean, that's just how I think. I know other people think differently, because they're like, oh my gosh, it's the end all be all of the eyeshadows. They're so buttery, they're so creamy, they're so, oh my gosh. But yeah, so is every other palette that I own. It's buttery, it's creamy, it's an eyeshadow. Okay, Kim Kardashian did a collaboration with Whitney Harlow. It has a really nice palette. The lip glosses look pretty. Actually, everything in this collection looks pretty and it looks interesting. Am I gonna buy it? No. I don't know how to explain it. I just feel like it's just doesn't do enough for me to be like, okay, I really want to buy it. I want to buy the whole collection. I want to buy a palette. I want to try a lip gloss. I do want to try a lip gloss from her brand, and her setting powder is amazing. Amazing. I need to buy another one, because that has been like my tried and true holy grail powder, and I finished that up like that. So I definitely feel like I need another one. If I do place an order, I might order one of the lip glosses just to see how they work and how I like them. I've been waiting to see if they have a palette that truly is like, I need that palette, like all the Colourpop palettes. And this one's pretty nice for fall and all that, but it just doesn't scream at me to like buy it, you know? Okay, this next palette, I actually really want to buy it. Artist Couture came out with their very first eyeshadow palette. All they've had so far, I think, is glosses, highlighters. I have their highlighters, and they're loose highlighters. They're absolutely beautiful, and I think now they have pressed highlighters. This palette is called Midnight Maven, and it's so freaking cute. I like that he didn't do like a crazy big palette. He did a small but cute and still wearable palette. Like, yeah, it has those pops of colors, but it has those 3 very neutral shades for you to be able to do different types of looks and to do like more toned down looks, but at the same time still use those pops of color to do like a crazier sultry look. I feel like he gives me a very sultry vibes. Like his whole line, his whole aesthetic is very sultry. This palette is definitely him. So beautiful. This is definitely one that I do want to buy. Do I need it? No, but I do want it. Okay, so Wet n Wild decided to launch a 40 eyeshadow palette that very much so resembles the James Charles palette, the release or something, your inner artist. I forgot the name of it. I have the palette and I've done a dupe video about it. And then James Charles decided to call Wet n Wild out, and you know, I feel like they were very petty, but in a funny way. I personally feel like it's funny. James Charles palette has been out for so long already. What is it, a year, maybe a year and a half or 2? His palette has been out for so long, and I don't personally feel like they're taking away from him, because your palette has already been out for so long, it already did so well, it's already been sold out time and time again. I personally am not going to get into the whole, you know, dilemma that people say that he steals from artists, or he steals ideas and doesn't give them credit. That's, you know, whatever. Besides the point, you guys know where I stand with dupes. I personally love finding dupes for you guys, especially if they are affordable. I feel like not everyone understands that not everyone wants to spend $39 $5 on an eyeshadow palette. Not everyone can do that. Not everyone wants to, and that's okay. Not everyone likes James Charles. Not everyone wants to support him, so they don't want to buy his palette because that's going to be supporting him. So they just rather not buy the palette. Now, when a palette like this comes out and people are interested in it because whatever the reason they have for not buying the James Charles palette, I don't feel like they should be like attacked or looked down on because you bought a palette that isn't the original one, the James Charles palette. And I also don't get where he was, when all the other brands that already did a dupe for this palette, where he was at. Where were his comments? Where was his anger? Where was his frustration for all of those other brands? Of course, they're small brands. They're, you know, very, very small brands, not even known, well known. And of course, there was no mention about those. He used them to support his argument because, you know, people were calling him out on that. But I feel like if you're going to have a problem with Wet n Wild and you're going to call them out, you should have done that with every other brand that did a dupe palette for your palette. I am going to say that this palette, to me, it does look similar. I feel like the colors in this one look a little more deep, and the colors in James Charles palette, because I do own it, they look more bright. Am I going to buy this palette? Absolutely. Am I going to do a dupe video? Absolutely. This palette is only going to be $20. So for the people who didn't want to buy James Charles palette, who didn't want to support him and buy the palette, who couldn't afford it, who wanted something cheaper, I'm going to do that video, and I'm going to buy that palette for that reason. Even though I already bought the James Charles palette, I already bought another dupe palette. Like, I really don't mind buying this one to see if it's really good, what it's all about. So yeah, we'll have to see all the chisme on that when I get the Wet n Wild palette, but I definitely will be trying my hardest to pick it up because I know it's going to be a hot item, especially with all the drama surrounding it and all that. This next palette, I don't know. This is a 3503 Fierce by Nature Artistry palette. I feel like I can't talk today. By Morphe brushes. Now I have the I think the 3502 or something like that, which was all red orange shades, and that palette got, I don't know if it got discontinued, but I looked for it a bunch of times on the Morphe website when I did videos and used it, so I can link it, and I never found it again. Maybe it's because they were bringing this one. I don't really like that Morphe does that. Like the other palette before the James Charles palette, before that one, there was another one that was like super hot and everyone liked it, and they kind of like just slowly discontinued it, and it disappeared, and then ta-da, the James Charles palette came about and that one just disappeared. I don't really like that they do that, but whatever. Would I buy this palette? No. The two green shades in this palette really, really, like, they bother me. Because it takes like the whole cohesiveness of the palette that is all reds, browns, wines, burnt orange shades, copper shades. So those two shades just, they really, really bug me. I wouldn't buy the palette because I would be so just bothered by it. The palette is beautiful without the two green shades. That's just my opinion. It's absolutely stunning and gorgeous without those two green shades. That I feel like they just threw those shades on there so it can be like a hot new palette. Next, here we go. Anastasia Beverly Hills and Norvina. I really said Norvina. Norvina have the Volume 2 palette. I skipped the first palette, and I'm definitely skipping the second palette. This palette is $60. $60. No ma'am. No. Again, for the color story and the color theme of this palette, I would much rather buy an indie brand's palette, because I feel like those brands are the ones that started doing all these palettes, like in this color story of like the very bold, bright colors, including a lot of greens, a lot of blues, that the bigger brands like ABH doesn't typically do. Like, I know that they've had like their Subculture palette, but that's a small palette that, by the way, sucked ass. Just saying. And like their other palettes do have some type of pops of color, but nothing like this that they're doing now. I just feel like I don't know, I feel like the bigger brands are noticing that the consumer is going for the indie brands that are doing more unique palettes than what the bigger brands normally always do, and they pump out the same, just like recycle the eyeshadows and, you know, place them differently, and they're picking up on that, so that's what they're starting to do. Honestly, I would not buy this palette also because I feel like, I mean, unless they improve their formula of greens and like blue shades from their Subculture palette, I wouldn't trust this palette to be, or these eyeshadows not to be, the quality that Subculture was. And that's just my opinion. I don't know if you guys disagree or agree. That's just my opinion. I mean, her makeup's beautiful. The promo pic, her outfit, beautiful. The palette, the colors are pretty. Necessarily for me, I don't really like the color story a lot. I like the individual shadows, one or the other, but I don't like it as a whole. And that's all I'm going to say on that. Let's talk about something other than palettes, because I know you guys are probably like, B, you need to be quiet already with all these palettes. Okay, Dose of Colors is launching a concealer to go with their foundation. This is probably, I think it's the Meet Your Hue concealer, you know, the same line. I wish they would have launched the concealer and the foundation together, but they didn't. I still bought the concealer. I bought it today, this morning. I was like, yes, I need to try it. The foundation is literally my holy grail foundation. I love the Meet Your Hue foundation. Totally recommend it. So I was like, you know what? Yes, we are picking up the concealer because I'm excited to see how it works and to try it. And yeah, I personally really love Dose of Colors products. And another last little announcement that I want to give you guys, because I thought this was pretty interesting. P. Louise is going to be at Morphe stores. It's going to be online and in Morphe stores. For those of you who don't know what P. Louise is, it's basically a makeup brand. I don't know if they are in Australia. No, it's not Australia. I'll have to look it up. But they're not in the United States. And it's very hard to get their stuff. At least for me, I waited like maybe like a month before I got my order. 3 to 4 weeks I waited, and I only ordered their base. My dumbass should have bought a palette since I was already ordering something from them. Shipping is like expensive as well if you're ordering in the United States, and I'm happy that they are now going to be in a store that I can go, and I hope they have their palettes, because that's what I really want to try. Since I already tried the base is actually really, really good, and I really do like it. I just didn't like how long it took to get to me. And that basically concludes this week's, or this episode of Hot New Launches. I hope you guys like this series that I'm going to be starting. I'm trying to make it a series, but sometimes I forget to do these. And there's just sometimes so much makeup that I'm like, what do I talk about? So I decided to keep this episode of just normal makeup, because I will have another one of all the holiday makeup launches. The holiday sets from Sephora, those are my favorites. So I think I want to like dedicate a specific Sephora kits launches and what you guys will be seeing in the holidays. Let me know if you'd like that. In the comments down below. Don't be afraid to, you know, give your opinions, even if it's different from mine. Obviously, always respectfully. You know, we can all have our own opinions. We just have to be respectful towards one another. So let's chat in the comments. What did you guys think about the products I mentioned and what I think about them and all that jazz? Chat with me down below. I feel like that was so awkward. I was like anyways, chat with me down below. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I really do appreciate it. And I will have that video of the Katheleenlights makeup tutorial palette first impressions in the link, or you can check out the previous video. And now finally, with that being said, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.